Run, bitch! Run! Trick or treat, motherfucker.
What is going on, good people of the internet? It is time once again for us to sit down as African Americans, as African American nerds, as blerds, black nerds, whatever you want to call us. We are here once again for the show that we like to call Blerd Grounds, where we sit here and talk about whatever we want to talk about when it comes to movies, comics, video games, anime, whatever, card games, D&D, all kinds of different things that we want to talk about. Power Rangers next season. We are going to be talking about everything in between on this podcast, and we are here as a group, as a collective, to talk about stuff that we care about. My name is James Portis. I'm going to rattle off my team here as we go down the list. We have the doctor himself, the man who is apparently going to be wearing an afro this evening. Aaron Jones, how you doing this evening?
Doing well. I did it all day. Like, I wore it all day. I wore it on the bus to work and back, and, I made it.
All right. And under him, we have the hard-working woman who works 47 jobs like Uncle Ruckus does. Jasmine, how you doing this evening?
I'm all right. I also wore a wig today, but it's purple.
Hey. Okay.
Hey.
I didn't see no pictures
best
on
color.
Twitter. Why was there no pictures?
Because I was exhausted all day. Here, I'll put some right here.
Hey,
Hold on.
She's a hardworking woman.
Hey, you right.
Yeah, I'm busy.
All right. And then under her, we have the man who is working his ass constantly for the goodness of the children that he does. Marcus, how you doing today?
Boo niggas, happy Halloween.
Yeah, first one. It was bound to happen.
Hey,
Perfect.
Given the material for this episode, I'm gonna allow it. But like, oh god,
It's about to get spooky, y'all.
Hey, that wig looks fire, Jasmine. That wig looks fire.
You know you wrong
Thank
for
you.
that.
Go ahead, bro.
Okay. And under him, we have the brother with the fro, the welder pro, Travis. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. I want the blue skidoo through this computer and pull them naps out of Aaron's wig.
Damn
it!
That reference though, blue skidoo.
Damn it!
We can't too.
Let me go get my pick. Shit.
All right. And then our special guest for the evening. He has been working his butt off himself on our Twitter and Instagram pages. We love him. He can be a bit dramatic sometimes, but we love him regardless.
Hey now.
You're a rock star. Get your game
Hey
on.
now.
This is what dreams are made of. But,
Hey!
But our social media manager, Andre Drew, how you doing this evening?
Yo, I'm here. I'm alive. It's Halloween. Cold in Ohio.
Bro, it was snowing today.
Yes, it is.
Bro, it's snowing in Ohio right now, and I walked to work today in a hoodie, in my hella thick hoodie from I Came to Sin. Check him out on Twitter. Anyway,
See,
we
this is why I stay in California, man.
Hey man,
Right?
But
It's 59
California,
tonight.
California,
I
literally-
walked to work
I
in my hoodie,
stayed.
and then at work at my desk, like waiting for people to come into the gym. I am like, I just see the snow fall, and I'm just like, why?
See, I stayed my happy behind in the house with the heat because it was also raining too.
And the thing is, I've been leaving my air conditioning in the window because I like the sound at night, and I'm like, damn, it might be time to switch to the sound fan.
It might
Meanwhile, California is literally on fire.
Yeah.
Yup. At a nice chill 70 degrees.
Nice.
No.
Okay. Do not forget to check out this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Overcast, Podcast Republic. I'm working on getting this on Anchor sooner or later. I'm working on it currently. All these different services besides SoundCloud, because we do not support SoundCloud except for SoundCloud rappers. I'm sorry, like their cost just to put the RSS feed on was just too much. But we still love you for what you do for the culture, SoundCloud. So keep it going. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where you can catch Andre every day of the week at Blerd Grounds on Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget to follow our website, On Comics Ground, where we post constant new content from reviews, previews, solicitations, occasional news articles, and opinion pieces from our hard-working staff at oncomicsground.com. Put some hyphens between those words. And don't forget to follow the website on Twitter and Instagram at On Comics Ground. So, let's get into it. So, as you can tell, folks, it is Halloween. Well, tomorrow it'll be November 1st. But tonight, as we record this episode, it is Halloween. And we are talking about the spookiest of the spooky. And I do mean black people dying in horror movies.
It's a common practice.
It's a very, 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 very common practice. And there's that one like clip, I forget what movie it's from, where like they're sitting around the campfire and John Candy's like at the campfire too. But there's this one black dude who's like, man, I get so tired of black people dying in horror movies. Alien, The Thing, all these different things. They're always dying first in horror movies.
Ooh,
and,
don't.
What you got?
Oh,
Well, say, don't get me started on Alien. If that girl just would have moved the fuck out the way.
We are here to talk about this evening. But the common trend we have faced as a culture, that we are the sacrifice, the token sacrifice for the white heroes to escape from capture. So, and there, like Andre even sent me the clip. There is this in next week's American Horror Story. There is this woman who is at a diner with Emma Roberts, and she goes, "You're the last one. You're the final girl of the story. You will be the one to escape." And then Emma Roberts goes, "Why don't any of you ever escape?" Girl, my complexion was the first to go.
For context, she said she wanted to be the final, and Robert says, "Well, why don't you be the final girl?" And obviously, my complexion is not popping. So
I just like my heart breaks when I heard that, because it's like, yeah, that's true. So what do we mean, folks? So if you look at actually, no, why am I conducting this? Andre, this is your show. Why don't you talk to the people?
So in my research, I found that obviously we tend to, if we don't die first, we're usually either one of the few minority in the movie itself, and number two, we died number one or somewhere along the lines. Of course, women are the most underrepresented in minority women, to be specific, with 11% black women, 4% Latinos and Asians and others, and 3% from somewhere else. So
hit you with the damn data.
Black women, you need to survive these movies.
I mean, what was her face in Freddy vs. Jason? She tried.
Kelly Rowland.
Kelly Rowland, she tried.
Kelly Rowland tried.
I noticed Regina King is in none of these movies. Maybe that's why.
That's what,
yes.
I mean,
yes.
I was so happy that she fired back, and all these freaking like racist people getting mad about the politics in Watchmen. Even though Watchmen,
such a perfect response,
which is even though Watchmen is a political comic book to begin with, and like literally she just goes, "Y'all haven't read the graphic novel, have you?" And I was like, "Damn."
oh.
Isn't that the clapback for almost anything that anybody complains about?
Right, you don't read comics.
You haven't seen this.
read a book, son.
Read a book. Read a comic book.
As Uncle Ruckus once said, "Read, nigga, read."
And that's what got the spirit out.
R.I.P. John Witherspoon.
Yes,
most definitely.
We if everything aligns the way I want to, we will probably be doing a Boondocks tribute next week.
Woot.
But yo, I wanted to kind of take it back a little bit and just kind of go around everyone here tonight and talk about, how they got into horror, what their interest level is in horror, and if you're not into horror, what makes you not interested in it?
I mean,
What?
hey, Jasmine, you're the one who's openly said you are not much of a horror fan. Why is that?
I'm terrified. I'm a scaredy cat. I'm a coward. I'm a wimp. I don't know what you want me to say. I am terrified of
but you're
scary
still valid.
things.
You're still valid.
Thank you.
All those are valid responses.
Yeah, I don't know horror, so I'm going to take a back seat on this one. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
So do you like refuse to watch them at all, or can you watch it, but it's just like a pretty harrowing experience when you try and sit through one?
I think I've seen one in my entire life.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
It scarred
was it?
me. It was it was White Noise.
Okay. That's a sneaky good movie. It's a sneaky good movie.
Actually, the thing is that I actually really enjoyed it, and I wasn't all that scared, but the knowledge was that it wasn't that scary of a horror movie, and it still scared the shit out of me, and so I decided that I was never going to delve deeper than that. So yeah, I don't like horror. I don't like slashers. I don't like psychological horror. I don't like anything that unsettles me because I have like massive amounts of anxiety and am a scaredy cat. That's it.
And
Because it gets worse.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's her.
No, like I'm saying,
It's
like
fine. I will never watch.
The movies are sometimes terrible. And
Okay,
even
but
if
like, why would
from-
you?
You know what I will
from
say
the-
though? You know what I will say though? I actually really enjoy horror games. I like indie horror games.
Oh,
Hey,
interesting.
For all those who want to know, so starting tomorrow, Outlast is on PS Plus for the month, so you can play Outlast 2.
Oh, don't play me.
For real. Outlast 2 and what I forget the other one is, but two games that everyone's been wanting to play: Outlast 2 and Neo. Neo is also going to be on the list for PS Plus tomorrow.
Sick.
I think I'm gonna check both of those games out.
Honestly,
Right?
I prefer Outlast 1 over Outlast 2 because Outlast 2 kind of dove into like the hills have eyes type of horror rather than like the psychological scientific horror that I enjoyed from Outlast 1. And when at the end of the day, Outlast 2 was just, hey, the guy you're playing as and his wife got like molested by a priest, but then they're also getting molested by these weird cult people too. I was like,
That's weird.
because like
I
they
hate
kept,
Sounds oddly realistic.
because they kept flashing back to like when they first like got like were hurt in Catholic school while they're also being hurt now, and I'm like, this is weird. I don't like
I
this.
think that's the other thing
Well,
that I don't really like about horror is
the
it
game now.
really
You
preys on.
I'll have to check my PlayStation, but I don't know if it'll be on right now.
What were you saying, Jasmine?
That's the other thing that I don't really like about horror is that it really preys on certain tropes that can be really damaging,
It can.
like mental illness and trauma specifically.
Yeah.
And the black person dying first, I suppose that's also a problem we should talk about.
Most definitely.
They really
The white
killed
folks
like
disposing the black friend.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
it's because
They really
we're
killed a
quote
black
quote
man.
expendable quote.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Well,
What
we're
was the
mostly-
quote?
We're mostly used
Operation
to
Human
scare.
Shield my ass.
I think it's the other thing. This is a more meta theory, but I think that it really warrants that people of color, black people in like particular, tend to be the voice of reason, and it's a lot scarier when the person you think is going to survive because they are the voice of reason and do reasonable things, like I don't know, run away from scary things. When they die, it's a whole lot more scary because it makes you realize that anyone could die, which is another reason why expendability is a whole thing. It's black people being used as a plot device as opposed to being treated as characters.
That is so true. Like, now granted, there could be some smart, like the actual them being the voice of reason can be a good thing sometimes, but then they actually still die, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as horror goes, from a writing perspective, the thing that scares is that you can do everything right and still get got.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. Any type of logic or reason is thrown right out the door.
Yeah, that's what makes a scary movie scary anyway, as opposed to like movies that try too hard but the characters make stupid decisions and you just kind of scream at the screen, just don't sleep with him, it's fine.
Hey,
House of Wax.
Oh, yes. Oh
I
God.
have no idea what
yes.
you're talking about.
Do not
rule
sleep
no-
with Paris Hilton. Don't do it.
Also, for the record,
I'm good.
October's games are still on the PlayStation Store, so don't worry about it right now.
And rule number 1 in horror: if you have sex, you die.
Bruh.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I am asexual.
Hey, there you go. Represent. You are valid. Okay. So, Travis, you are next up to bat. What was your first horror experience?
It's kind of spotty from my childhood, but I distinctly remember An American Werewolf in London
Great
and
movie.
and Demon Knight. And honestly, those two movies really, really set the groundwork for like my aesthetic in life. Wait for your candy, baby. Hold on. But yeah, Demon Knight really had me way more messed up than American Werewolf in London did, because at least American Werewolf in London was triumphant. You know what I mean? Demon Knight was just horrifying, especially with how young I think I was like 7 or 8 when I watched Demon Knight. When you see like Jada Pinkett walk into the room, and then there's these crazy decrepit demons crawling on the wall, and you could see them coming through the wallpaper, and the whole movie was just buck wild. And so since then it progressed to the Alien movies. I started having nightmares about them as a kid, and then it transformed into zombie movies because the idea of being eaten by my loved ones is horrifying. But once I hit high school, I started listening to death metal, and so a lot of that stuff stopped scaring me because it was everywhere.
I want to get into Demon Knight a little bit later on in the episode as we transition, because that's a great moment in horror for a reason I don't think many people talk about.
Okay. All right.
Jada Pinkett.
Boom, there you go.
Boom.
Okay. Well then, Marcus, what is some of your fond horror memories?
I think it's in my blood, man. My dad, my uncles, my cousins, they were all into horror, and my dad's very inappropriate, so I was exposed to stuff at a young age when I probably shouldn't have been. But but when I was younger, I was very afraid of stuff like that. Like stuff that wasn't really horror would scare me. Like I remember the opening scene in Terminator 2 used to scare the shit out of me when the Terminator stepped on the skull. Or was that Terminator 1? That was Terminator 1, wasn't it?
I think 2 was the park where the park got nuked. Is in 2.
Right.
I remember
So
correctly.
Terminator 1 is when they're in the future, and then you see the skull. It zooms in on the skull, and then the Terminator steps on it. That used to scare the shit out of me. I don't know why. And then the Emperor from Return of the Jedi, when he's almost killing Luke, that used to scare the shit out of me too. Yeah, the Emperor used to scare the shit out of me.
There's a very specific scene
He's
in
mad creepy.
Attack of the Clones, I think, that scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Which one was it?
What
It was
part?
when I can't remember because I haven't seen it in a while, but I think there were these like slugs that were going to come assassinate Queen Amidala in her bed at night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
saw
sense it
that at a
too.
very, very young age, and I was terrified. That will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Damn, bro.
Anakin
Star Wars was
killing
scary.
younglings.
Yes,
Anakin killing the younglings really.
fucks
Really?
me up.
It kinda messed me up.
Bro? The younglings?
Not the younglings.
Not the younglings.
Not the younglings.
Also, and this sounds very silly, but you guys remember the movie Look Who's Talking?
Yes.
Yes.
So I don't know if this is the first or the second one, but when the little boy imagines like the toilet is trying to eat him, that shit used to fuck me up. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yo.
Bruh.
That sounds like the second one.
I think
Yeah.
it's the second one. Yeah, I think it's
Look
Look
Who's
Who's
Talking
Talking
Too.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Look Who's Talking Too.
Who's Talking
Look Who's
Too.
Talking Now is like when they're both kids. That movie sucks. The first two were solid, though. But I digress. And then it kind of just evolved where I just kind of started to embrace it. I mean, I am my father's son, so I just kind of started to embrace it. And he had this big collection of. Remember, our parents used to tape stuff, like tape movies, tape TV shows. So he had all these taped horror movies, and what really, really got me going into it, I watched pretty much. He had like the whole Nightmare on Elm Street series taped. So,
Oof.
of course, the first one's a classic. The second one, I think, would be interesting to talk about maybe on its own, because a lot of people say that's a progressive movie as far as LGBTQ representation. It's not out like fully out there with it, but if you really watch it now, there are strong. I'm trying to think of the words kind of escaping me, but the main character who actually is gay in real life, and he confirms a lot of this stuff, saying there's a lot of homoeroticism in the movie.
Cool.
So that's
Hey.
Freddy's, and that's Freddy's Nightmare. That's the second one, and of course the all-time classic Dream Warriors. I fucking love that movie.
Dream Warriors.
That's
oh my
like
gosh.
it's like a horror movie Power Rangers. I fucking love that movie. And that's when Freddy starts to become real snarky with like the catchphrases like "Welcome to prime time, bitch." Like, I love that. I love that scene. Nightmare on Elm Street 4 or 5. It just kept going and going. I remember when Freddy's when a New Nightmare came out.
Yeah.
New Nightmare.
Which is
Wes
crazy.
Craven's New Nightmare?
Yeah, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Yeah, which is crazy because I didn't realize that a year later Scream came out. So in 2 years, Wes Craven redefined Freddy, which that movie is amazing. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend.
It is actually pretty dope. It's one.
It's very, very good. It's
Yeah.
very meta, which carries over to the next year when Scream comes out. And Scream just kind of turns the genre on its head, and it's kind of a movie that's emulated to this day about kind of poking fun at the genre, but still being scary in its own right. And then I think just stuff that's helped me is some modern cult classics such as Event Horizon. That movie used to fuck me up. It still kind of does. You don't need eyes to see. It's still chilling to hear that. And plus Lawrence Fishburne, he survives.
Hey, there you go.
Black man
Hey.
survived in a horror movie.
Hey.
Actually, no, he didn't. I'm lying. He died.
Oh, I thought
The
you
other black dude survived.
Why'd you get us up like that?
The other black dude survived. The black dude from the wood, he survived. But yeah, and then other cult classics like the Dawn. I know Zack Snyder gets a lot of shit from us and from the community in general, but his Dawn of the Dead remake is amazing.
Yes.
And I highly recommend
Yes.
that as well. Not only for horror movie fans, but fans of action too, because it's really like an action horror movie, and it's really, really good. And I think what also helped is the advent of streaming services has really just furthered my love of horror more, because there's so many hidden gems that you can watch on there, like movies that maybe went under the radar in theaters, or they just went direct to video, or they're made directly for Netflix, or movies that were just poorly rated by critics, but you watch it and be like, man, this was a fun movie. So I really think horror is in its golden age now with movies like Hereditary and Midsommar and Get Out and Us. Like, horror is really in a renaissance where it's really pushing the film community forward, pushing film forward. And horror directors are being used to further other movies. Like, a lot of horror movie directors are being used to make superhero movies, action movies, what have you. And they're revitalizing these franchises. So horror is where it's at right now.
Okay.
That's unfortunate.
A little bit.
But you don't have to watch it if you don't want to.
Thank you.
You have a choice.
You are valid and you are awesome.
Yes.
Oh.
Dr. Jones, what was your first fright, as it were?
So I think very similar to Marcus. Like, I've kind of grew up on horror movies. We were definitely the family that made it a blockbuster night, like, all the time. And we would pick a couple movies, and sometimes they would be kind of more comedic, and sometimes they would be like the scary stuff that they would try to close my eyes with, but like I can obviously see and hear all of the things. I don't even understand why I'm watching this movie, but that's just the way it is. And the first movie that I remember, the first horror movie I remember seeing, I think, was Night of the Living Dead. And I think we actually went to the drive-in to see that. I'm old, by the way. So
I mean, you're not
we
that
still love
old,
We
are
still
you?
love you.
Want to make that clear. Like, not the original Night of the Living Dead, but like the one.
You ain't that old.
Ridiculous. Though the one in 1990, I was old enough to like go to the movies, and I remember going to the drive-in and seeing that. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But because it was something that I grew up with, like, it's never been. I've never really been that afraid of horror movies. I will tell you, like, other than that, like, I think the ones that come the closest to actually scaring me, Paranormal Activity, just because of the jump scares, which kind of annoy me sometimes, but they get their due, and the kind of like, oh, it's around this corner, oh my gosh, and it's so quick and jolting. Also, Candyman was creepy as hell as a kid to watch.
Yes, it was.
Yup.
But it is a dope. Looking back on it, like as an adult, like it is a dope horror movie. Hellraiser, definitely should have been watching that as a child. And that's kind of the more gory. Like that's why to defend myself, because James was trying to make it sound like I'm Freddy Krueger over here. I was saying that it gets worse because like very movies out there that like
really
No, I can hear him.
Yeah, I heard him.
Okay.
You're good now.
You're good now.
So yeah, like I think that like there are some that like go, I don't want to say too far, but like are gory just for gory's sake and have no plot, and it just doesn't make any sense, and there's just blood spurting everywhere. And I don't necessarily like those myself. The other the one that really, actually, now that I think about it, there is one horror movie that actually does scare me. Probably to this day, I haven't even tried to watch it because it's so damn creepy. The freaking Puppet Master. Like, seeing those little dolls just run around, and there's that one that's really creepy and gray. It has the white hair and little hat.
Oh yeah, no.
That scares the bejesus out of me. So like, let's never watch that.
I never watched any horror movie with dolls because they
Not even Chucky, Andre.
not even Chucky. I say the heck away from Chucky.
What's the name of
that?
that? What's the name of the black horror movie? That has like, it has the dolls too, but they're like slave dolls. What's the name of the movie again?
Little Nigglings.
The what?
That's not real. That's not real. You lied.
Marcus.
To Google.
You never seen Tales from the Hood?
Tales from the Hood.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
The most classic of all black horror
yes.
movies. And that part where the dolls jump up off the wall, like I was like, "Whoa, buddy! We need to stop.
Yo,
It all needs."
this, so I might have to hop on this real quick.
Oh, you need to watch this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
Tales from the Hood fucked me up as a kid too. Don't watch the second one though; it's god awful.
Yo,
I heard.
I might have to watch this. Okay, so, see, my. Okay, so has anyone seen Child's Play 3?
No.
No.
Like,
Is that the one with the military base?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I've seen that. That movie is so cheesy.
So Child's Play 3 is literally, it came out a year after the second one, but it is this giant time jump to where Andy, the original kid from Child's Play, is like a teenager. And he's had so much shit over the years from being chased around by Chucky. That way he could be like Chucky could put his soul in the doll. That he's been turned into a hoodlum, and now he's been sent off to military school because like his mom's dead. He didn't work out with his adoptive parents, and his babysitter died from Chucky. So like he doesn't have anywhere to go. He's in the military school, and while he's there, he ends up like Chucky follows him and ships. Like Chucky literally ships himself all the way to the military school. And the most depressing thing, I kid you not, the first person to open the box and find Chucky is this little like 11 or 12-year-old black boy. And the reason why I remember him is because his name is Charles, and that's what it was. Yeah. It was Charles, and he bonded with the doll because his name was Charles too. And I'm horribly wrong. No, I'm horribly wrong. His name was Tyler. His middle name was Charles because he wanted to bond the dog. His name was Charles too because he said his name was Charles Lee Ray, and that was adorable. and the minute Chucky finds this little black child, he throws everything about Andy out the window and says, "Screw Andy, I'm gonna put my soul in this small little black child." And I felt so traumatized as a little boy.
Yo, honestly, that whole movie is just Chucky just like literally tormenting everyone as he goads this kid.
Legit, he's like, "No, F you, Andy. You didn't want to be with me. I'm gonna be with the black kid now." I was like, "Wait a minute." It was so triggering as a small child because I'm like, why do I have to die because of this?
Right. Andy's on the blue team. I'm gonna give the red team real bullets.
That's what he did because they were playing like Search and Destroy at the military school, and they had rubber bullets, but Chucky puts real bullets in all of the red team's guns, and I was like, bro, what the hell? And the thing is,
it's a wild movie.
This is where
the
cosplay turned into the movie where like this was the first one, but when they just started getting hella campy about it. Like second one tried to be kind of campy, and then third one is threw the whole book out the window. And then Bride of Chucky comes around and was like, okay, cool, we're gonna go back to the horror roots, but still be kind of funny with it, because they called old girl Lynn and Korea Tiffany. And so, oh, perfect. But anyway, no, like that was my first horror movie at like a little kid age. I was so traumatized because Tyler got tormented by this dude. And then I went on, and the thing is, I love horror movies to death. But the thing is, I laugh constantly at horror movies. Like one of my fondest memories of being a freshman in college, and it was right when Annabelle came out, the first one. And,
yeah.
And Andre, I had just met Andre at college, and Professor Reinhardt took us to the whole the freshman learning class took us to go see Annabelle because the college had a hookup with the movie theater to see movies early. So we went and saw Annabelle. Whole theater full of college kids from all these different freshman learning classes, and there's the scene in the movie where old girl is in the basement of the apartment complex, and she sees the demon, and she runs down the hall to the elevator, presses the button really fast, like get out of here. Door closes. There's a pause. Door opens. She's still on the basement floor, and the demon's getting closer. I'm dying of laughter at this woman's stupidity. And like, woman, take the stairs. Don't get in the elevator. Take the stairs. And she's like, no, press it again. Closes. Pause. Demon's at the door, and I'm like, bro. So like, everyone's cowering in fear, and I'm dying of laughter, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. But no, it's the stupidity of it. I laugh in the face of people acting stupid in horror movies. Like there's that moment in Scary Movie 1, the spoof movie, based on my whole Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, where the newscasters are talking about Carmen Electra dying from Ghostface, and they pay over to the one truck, and they go, "We're reporting live from Black TV. White people are dead. We're getting the hell out of here." Like, that should be everybody, but it's not.
Hey, we need to give the Wayans brothers their flowers while they're still here because they are so influential with the parody genre and just in comedy in general.
Yes.
Like they stuck to their guns and kept parodying horror across the board for so long. And not just horror movies, they started doing things like Scary Movie 4, they did Aliens and different stuff like that in Jigsaw, and then they started doing like Date Movie, Epic Movie, and kept going. Now granted, some of those movies are just god-awful. Like,
yeah, we don't need to talk about all of them.
Like Dance Movie.
Yo, what was the Haunted House, the one, was that the one they make fun of Paranormal Activity?
Haunted House is
Haunted House is pretty
Haunted House is so damn funny.
I was giving the tornado, right? I was giving the tornado.
What happened to all your furniture, cuz?
Hey, back up off her, but stay up on her, though.
Like, it's just, like, especially if we're laughing about it, like, we approve the movie, go watch it. But, like, so, like, definitely give them that, dude.
A ghost? Like a dead ghost?
Like if you like obviously you listen to the like our little edit of the theme song for this episode, like scary, like there's that moment in Scary Movie 1 where they're talking to one of the Wayans brothers, and he goes, "If there's anything you could tell Drew before she died, what would you tell her?" "Run, bitch, run!" Like that was the best part right there. Like,
which is literally all they do over things, and then they die.
Yes. So I love horror to death. Like literally, I am almost every day when I'm not like one of those like coping / like free time things that I do with myself once I've calmed down from work and website stuff and podcast stuff is I play Dead by Daylight because it's this game where it's 4 survivors versus 1 killer trying to repair generators to escape, and it gets your blood flowing and it makes you feel good because like you conquered the person. And I always play with one of the 3 black people in the game, that way I can try to say, hey, the black person didn't die first, because it's so like no,
For
like,
the
lengths
culture,
we have to
for
go
the
to.
culture.
like no,
Which-
because dead ass. There's the one character, like Aaron in the game, ironically enough, and he's the detective in the game. Not Aaron, like and he's the detective in the game, and he escaped. Like he has a perk where he can, once he saves someone from a hook, he can go back and like once he's hooked, he can immediately like pull himself off and run away. Called Deliverance, and it's so funny using that perk because then I don't get to be the black person that dies first. I can get away. So yes, that's my love of horror movies. So, Andre, where do you want to go with this conversation, my brother?
Oh well, I didn't say where I started.
Oh.
Ooh, so I apologize. Well, conduct my sir.
No, you're
And,
no, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. No. So my first horror experience, like Marcus, like some of my family members, they were all into horror. I was also like Jasmine. Like, no, thank you. I get nightmares enough as it is. I'm not watching anything else that gives me nightmares. But my aunt took me to see this movie called The Descent.
Oh,
Oh no! Oh no!
Yes.
Oh, dear.
So me as like a 11, 10 to 12-year-old child, I'm like, okay, family outing, whatnot. I see it. By the time I get home, I'm terrified. I think the monsters are gonna get me from under my bed. Typicalness. I've seen my fair share of Freddy and Jason. But my favorite absolute would be Scream, because like you said, it just flips the whole horror genre on its head. And like you, James, I went with a friend to go see Scream 4, which is the only horror movie that I own on DVD. I went with a couple friends of mine, and me and my one friend, while everybody else is like popping up screaming and dying and all that, we're sitting there hysterically laughing at just the fact that, the tropes of, run, bitch, run. It's not that hard. Everything is not so hard. And then, Emma Roberts is just all over the place for some reason. But, I digress. But yeah, I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but I know of them. So yeah, that's my take.
Okay, so you did some research for this episode.
I sure did.
And what would you like to educate the people on this evening?
So, show of hands, how many black characters in horror can you name that actually survive to the end of the movie?
I can think
None.
of 3 off the top of my head.
I could think of
two.
Homeboy, I forget the actor's name, but in House on Haunted Hill, he was one of the only people that made it out. Yeah, Tay Diggs, there you go.
Yep.
he
LL Cool
follows me
J
on
and Deep
Twitter.
Blue Sea, and
Yep,
Jada
LL Cool
Pinkett
J.
and Demon Knight.
Yep.
you ate my bird, man.
Hey, follows you on Twitter, Jasmine.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Really?
yeah.
The-
I don't know why. He just does.
Tell him to get into another horror movie so he can survive more.
The one horror movie I can think off the top of my head, and this is so funny. Have you guys seen the 4th Final Destination movie?
No.
Yes.
I did not get that far.
Is that the one where it's kind of a prequel to?
I believe so, because it's on a
Mhm.
bridge.
Yeah,
it's
actually, I know
it's
what
a
you're
bridge
talking
one.
about. Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Bubba from Forrest Gump is in it, and he's like a security guard, and the whole movie he's been running with these cats and like making sure they're safe, and everything, and he ends up surviving, and I always remember that Bubba got to survive this time, and it always sticks with me.
Damn. Steve.
Damn.
So yeah, that's oh, and Busta
I'm
Rhymes.
surprised. Yeah, Busta Rhymes, definitely. Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
obviously, because it's a whole black movie. Might as well survive.
Right.
Andra Howard from Saw 4.
Didn't Danny Glover survive the first Saw? And then died in the
He
second one?
probably did.
No, he died at the
Yeah.
end of Saw 1.
I thought it was
I heard
the second one, but alright.
Yeah. Sandra Howard, she cut off her hand and survived. That's how.
Aggressive, but
Wow.
Yes.
That's meta.
Obviously Busta Rhymes in Halloween Resurrection.
Yes.
Barry in Gothica.
Oh, I forgot about Gothica.
That's a good movie. Oh,
It's a crazy ass movie.
Brandy and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Hey,
Brandy did survive, yes.
I didn't even know she was in that movie.
Yeah,
She was. She was the best friend.
She was. She was
Supporting character.
Junior's girlfriend, and she outlived him.
Yep.
Wow.
Mackay Fife.
Yup. LL Cool J from Deep Blue Sea, obviously.
Yes.
And Halloween H2O.
He was in H2O?
And he survived.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he survived.
I'm just hearing be a rapper.
Yeah,
Ladies
if
love
you're a
Cool
rapper,
J,
you're probably
man.
gonna live because your ego's not gonna let you die. So if you're a rapper or artist in a movie, you're probably gonna live.
He's like, if
Unless you're
I'm
Kelly
gonna be in
Rowland.
this movie, I have to survive. Okay.
Unless you're Kelly Rowland.
Except
or Trey
Kelly.
Songz.
Except Kelly.
Bruh,
R&B singers gotta go. It makes it sadder.
Yep, Trey Songz caught that L too.
Wait, what was Trey Songz?
Wait.
Oh,
Trey
yeah.
Songz?
He was in
What was that?
Texas Chainsaw 3D.
What?
And he died in such a whack way too. He didn't even get killed by Leatherface. He died in a car accident.
Damn.
What
bro.
was?
Yeah. Talk about getting hoed out in a horror movie. That is
You didn't
wow.
even get killed. You died in the worst
Right.
way possible, homie.
Right.
What was home dude's name from All of Us in what was it? The Wax House. That was with Paris Hilton.
House of Wax.
The dude from Cousin Skeeter.
Yeah, dude from Cousin Skeeter.
Bro.
Did he survive that movie?
No, he died too. I think he got a hole in the brain.
Oh, okay.
If I remember that correctly.
I'm still stuck on Freddy versus Jason. I'm not even going front. Because Kelly Rowland, she had role real good the whole movie, and she didn't even die first. She stuck with that for a hot minute, and then, out of nowhere, freaking Freddy, just turns to her when she's one of the last three people and goes, "How sweet, dark meat." I was like, bro, no! Why?
Why, Kelly?
Why dark meat, though? Of all things you say to this girl, why you gotta be dark meat? I don't
Because
understand.
Freddy's a sexual predator.
He
That's gross.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
He is, though.
And are you really surprised that Freddy's probably racist? I'm
But,
not.
okay.
Nah.
Honestly, I figured he was the one that was like, okay, I don't give a fuck about black people. But, no, and then we find out he just gonna say that. I was like, no, why? Why would he like that?
Why?
I love how he just says, screw the typical scary movie couple that's limping away. Kelly Rowland's just here, ready to die. I'm like, oh, God, why?
Oh, and we can't forget the originator, man, the Night of the Living Dead. He said, well, no, he didn't, sir. He survived the zombies. He didn't survive the white man.
Nobody does.
God. The way, oh, Lord. Okay.
So sad.
So,
It's real. It's real out here.
so,
It was a documentary.
okay, so we gotta give it up for my boy Busta Rhymes though, because yes, he probably said up front that he had to be the one to survive, but the way that he just comes back, where you think, oh no, he done, it's fine. No, he busts in the door with shovel in hand and says trick or treat, motherfucker, and just smacks Michael Myers in the face with a shovel. Shovel breaks. Buster gets knocked into a bookshelf and is passed out for a good minute. Michael comes over, about ready to kill him, and then Busta Rhymes grabs the jumper cable and just shocks the hell out of Michael Myers' nuts. And you're just like, really, bro? That's how you gonna go?
Jamie Lee
talk about
Curtis
the
wishes.
Can we talk about the crane kick though? Can we talk about the crane kick though?
Oh, the crane kick. Oh, yes. The crane kick. Yes, that was the best part. Oh, my God.
We live in a world where there's a movie where Michael Myers gets crane kicked by Busta Rhymes.
We live in that world, and that's a great world.
Only in the 90s/early 2000s, to be honest. Like, so much edge that everyone involved cut themselves on it.
Oh. So, also, I do have fond memories of watching Candyman, because I was watching the second Final Destination with my dad, and he goes, this scary black man in the morgatory is actually in his own horror movie, and I was like, really? And then I watched Candyman, and he's just killing people with bees, and I'm like,
Ugh.
Bro, the bees are awful.
Yeah.
Don't downplay the bees. Don't downplay the bees.
He has he has a fucking hook for a hand.
He does.
Right.
You say this man's name.
He opened his coat, there's bees. It's.
I don't think there's anything more
nasty.
horrifying than a swarm of bugs, honestly.
You say this man's name 3 times, he will come out your mirror with bees and a hook hand.
I can handle a hook hand. I can't handle bees.
You better than me then.
Right.
Oh, so you would take bees over a hook hand, Marcus?
I mean, at least I got a fighting chance with the bees.
What do you mean?
No, not the way Candyman uses them. You don't.
No,
It's
man.
just like running from,
I would
just
take
like
I would take a swing hook to the throat over some bees. Like, bees, you gonna be roughing it for a minute there.
I mean, you just got to zigzag like you're running from bullets. That's all it is.
Oh.
You gotta also plug your ears, nose, and eyes.
Oh God!
Every
Please
other-
stop! Oh God! I can't.
They are willing to die to hurt you. Like
That's bees for you.
there's
They are
no
willing to
getting
kill
behind
you.
that.
Yeah, bees are gangsters.
I didn't know how t-shirts. Bees are gangsters.
These are gangsters.
Ride or die.
Jerry Seinfeld would be proud of us for repping the bees, but like, no.
Movie.
Oh, and we forgot to talk about the iconic Jada Pinkett in Demon Night. Not
Yes.
I've
only
never
was
seen Demon Night, so tell me what this movie is about.
well, number one,
Oh.
you're not just watching it for Jada Pinkett. You're watching it for a A+ Billy Zane performance. He's Nicolas Cage in that movie before Nicolas Cage started doing cocaine.
Really?
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
He's honestly terrifying. Like he plays the role of the. He's definitely Satan, but they don't say it. If that makes any sense. And just the way he does things, it's so mesmerizing yet haunting at the same time. Like, the movie's so good. I forget, was it who was the biker dude?
He's a well-known actor. I just can't think of his name.
I
been in a lot
want to
of
say
movies.
Dennis
There's
Quaid.
the cast as a whole is pretty familiar. There's a lot of familiar faces in that cast.
We got Billy Zane, William Sadler.
There we go. That's who it is.
William Sadler.
That's the biker, William Sadler. Mm-hmm.
CCH Pounder, aka Amanda Waller's in the movie. Hey,
Amanda
Yeah.
Waller.
have you ever
Yeah.
watched anything like Justice League Unlimited or like anything like
Yes,
that?
of course.
That's Amanda Waller right there. She a
That's
gangster.
awesome.
She a gangster.
Oh, she gets
We
her
got
arm cut off. in that
Thomas
movie.
Hayden Church.
Yep. Sandman's in it.
Sandman's in it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget he's Sandman.
And not only is Jada Pinkett just great in that movie, her look is like iconic. She's got the short blonde hair, the white button down, like she's just styling in that whole movie. Just serving looks while kicking demon ass.
Well, she does.
And by the end of the movie, she's pretty much Blade by the end of the movie.
Love that.
Do we consider Blade a horror movie or no?
Yeah, it's horror. I would consider it horror.
I consider it a horror / superhero movie. Yes.
Yeah, especially the
Yeah.
second one. The second one is definitely horror.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it that. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we now granted the new Blade like won't probably be as horrific, but like we love it for what it is because Mahershala Ali gets to be Blade.
And who knows?
Ali can
Kevin
do no
Feige
wrong.
said he hasn't ruled out making R-rated movies, so let's hold out some hope.
Hey, there you
Well,
go.
Deadpool's
Yeah.
probably still going to be R-rated. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you think about MCU movies, they're always kind of in this liminal space of being a comic book movie, but also probably stretching into another genre too. So like I feel like this is the horror space maybe.
Maybe.
Yes.
Especially with the rumors that Doctor Strange multiverse or whatever it's called is going to be like very horror esque because the villain's nightmare. So that could be some good stuff. There. So like we already talked about the know it all like a person when it comes to black people in the movies. What are some other stereotypes that you can refresh us with, Andre?
Well, like you said, they're often characterized as the quote-unquote Negro, where we're literally the all-knowing character, and we usually also tend to die for, to make the movie more sentimental. Native Americans are also referred to as like a Aboriginal, a shaman-ish character, mostly for Indian burial ground references, because most horror films usually, if we as minorities are included, we usually use for our culture and as a trope, nothing else to do with character or whatever. So gotta fix that. Definitely. And I think Jordan Peele is doing a great job with that.
No, why would you say that?
Well, I mean, he should do better.
I mean, we've seen
somebody's got
some pretty good strides as of recently.
Yes, he has. So I think at least he's starting the trend. But they need to, fix it in general.
Okay.
Right. And I think the cool thing about Jordan Peele is that he's pretty much said going forward, he's pretty much always going to lean into horror, and he's always going to have a black lead.
Now, let's talk about that statement you just made there, Marcus, because there was the statement made by Jordan Peele when a interviewer asked him, "Have you ever thought about making a horror movie with a white lead?" And Jordan Peele's immediate response was that he's making movies for his people. I'm paraphrasing, mind you, and he caught a lot of flack for that, where it seemed as if he was being non-inclusive to every other person, or specifically to white people, as a lot of people had said, and that caught a lot of heat. Now, why do you think
God
that is?
forbid.
Oh, Jasmine, hit it. You already done it there.
I just made one sarcastic comment. Anyway. I just don't think that, you just listed a whole bunch of movies with a lot of white leads, and we don't need any more. That's all. It's not like one director is going to dominate the horror industry and never going to make another horror white lead ever again. It's not like that's never going to happen again. I was literally just thinking about this earlier today about people who were complaining that there's no more room for white authors in publishing. And it's like, that is literally untrue. Like, just because like it's more prominent in like popular culture because they're the ones making the names doesn't mean that like quantity wise there's going to be any less of that sort of thing being made. You're not taking away, you're not taking up space, you're just doing it better, therefore you're getting your name out. That's it. That's all that is.
Yeah,
one or two popular black movies or directors are not in themselves going to dominate the entire industry, which is predominantly white.
Well,
it just doesn't make any sense to be angry or frustrated about a couple of folks getting their shine that are its rightful shine, and it's because they're doing good work, and it's not just because of their race or ethnicity. And the fact that there's so many other people in years prior that should have been getting their shine that haven't, and now there are a couple of people that are. Oh, it's the end.
Forced diversity.
White people get to make so many mediocre movies, and it's like we have to jump through a million gajillion hoops in order to make like the best thing possible. And then as soon as we get up there, it's like, oh nope, you're taking up too much space. You got to go. And it's like you're showing you're ugly, and we don't appreciate it. So shut up. Shut up. God, I read that interview. It was the most ridiculous thing.
Because the exact response he gave was, "I don't see myself casting a white dude as the lead in my movie. Not that I don't like white dudes, but I've seen that movie." And like the minute he says this, like everyone seemed to lose their shit over it. And I'm like, I don't like. I'm with y'all because I'm like, why is that a problem? Why is that something that isn't a concern when he's done his part to promote more diversity in the culture? Like Us is probably one of the best horror movies that there is out right now because of the fact that it puts its heart out there and makes a movie for the culture. Get Out is Oscar. Did it win the Oscar? Or is it just nominated? I forget.
I think it was nominated, but he himself, he won. Probably either writing or directing or something.
Okay, so in terms, so like we can honestly say that movies are being nominated for Oscars because of the level of quality brought forth by a person who wants to promote black leads in horror or any kind of movie. Like the man's making a reboot or I know it's a sequel to Candyman because he wants to see more black horror movies out there. What's wrong with that?
With a black woman directing.
Yes, because he's just producing it. So like the fact that that's going forward should be a great thing. Why are we even having a beef about this? Are you offended?
You know why?
Oh, yeah. Well, when whiteness is threatened, it responds with aggression.
Pretty much.
Like,
yep. I don't know why you would possibly be threatened by that. He's one man. He's a brilliant man, but he's one man.
He's one man.
Well, I think a lot of white people are afraid that we're going to start treating them like they've treated us.
Oh. Yep. Oh no.
That's what it is, though. I mean, that's why you hear all that, like, forced diversity. And it's not forced diversity. It's just we're getting out into the spotlight for once. And it's not taking anyone's shine, but there's this, like, notion that there's a limited amount of shine to be had when that's certainly not the case. And, like, people having to do above and beyond job description isn't a reason to be threatened by that.
Amen.
Yeah.
So, might I add, I agree with everything. Well, those people also fail to mention that actually, like, blaxploitation movies are a thing. Which for those who don't know,
The Wiz is better.
Yeah, blaxploitation movies back in the day were basically horror movies, but with an all-black cast, and they usually enforce the stereotypes that are inflicted us by the quote-unquote so-called white media. So, great example, Blackula. But back in '72, before I was even thought about.
That movie's actually kind of creepy and way more violent than I expected.
Yeah.
Blackula is a little special. The Vampire in New York with Eddie Murphy, I enjoy as well.
Yeah,
that movie has some scary moments too.
Man,
for a movie that's supposed to be like a comedy,
it just flips up on him. It's just John Witherspoon was in that movie. Just to
yeah, he was.
He sure was. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Carry on. I'm sorry.
No, but it's just like, why? So I'm just wondering why is white man getting angry that we're getting our shine when we've basically been doing our own thing since like the 1970s, back in the day. Like we had to make our own thing in order for us to get our shine on, while y'all making, mediocre horror movies. That we don't.
Yeah, I've seen The Blob.
Ooh, hey, but like represent for Keith David and Wesley Snipes in the thing though. Like that still hails one of the more popular horror movies of all time, and they get to be a part of that. So like,
The Blob is an intense ass movie though. That movie holds no punches. Kids, cats, everybody dying.
Everybody
in that
can
movie.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody dying in that movie.
Yeah.
But speaking of Jordan Peele, I think, like we kind of alluded to earlier, he's really leading the charge and taking horror movies into the next decade, the next millennium, the next kind of renaissance in horror. With his two movies, Get Out and Us, and then you have, I'm trying to think of his name. Ari Aster, who did Hereditary and Midsummer. If you haven't seen Hereditary, please watch that movie. That movie is so unsettling.
I'm good.
Yeah, that
Need.
that movie is. If you have Amazon Prime, you can stream it for free.
Yeah.
That movie is terrifying, but I'm really anxious to see what Jordan Peele does next. What I'm really hoping is he directs a movie with Keegan Michael Key being the lead.
That would be
That
interesting
would
to
be
see
dope.
them transform that from their comedic side to being fully horror based. Would be very interesting.
Right, that would be
Yeah.
dope.
Okay. So in term, like we like I guess we've already kind of alluded to the idea that racism exists when it comes to not just film but horror film specifically. What can we do to like fix that though? Like,
I've been trying to write horror forever and I still can't do it, but I feel like that would be a good first step. Get more black
movies
creatives.
like Attack the Block.
Attack the Block is a cool movie. Yeah.
More movies like that.
Now, what do
honestly.
you mean by that for those who haven't seen Attack on the Block?
Well, Attack on the Block is like it's got John Boyega and it takes place in the hood, but in Britain, and so it's a little different if you're American, of course, but it's kind of the same deal where it's a group of local kids doing some local shit, and they come out to be heroes while losing each other, like losing some of each other along the way, and it's stunningly like a really, really black movie for being in England. And I think that's what got me the most is like I didn't understand like a lot of the slang and any of that, but I understood what they were saying because it was easily translated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But the movie kept this pace to it. That like once people started dropping, they didn't stop until it was pretty much go time for John Boyega at the end of the movie. And it had this weird like I don't know, like a paranoia fast-paced horror that I guess I'm not used to, but just with the all-black cast, that was just like, or well, not all-black cast, mostly black cast, but it was worth it.
Okay.
And not only is John Boyega in it, but what's his name? Jefferson from Legends of Tomorrow. He's in it, and I think Doctor Who is in it. Isn't Doctor Who in it too?
Yep, he is.
Oh,
Which
Benedict.
one?
So the
Jodie
female
Whittaker.
Doctor Who.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, I think they're both in it as well.
I might need to watch this movie.
It's pretty
It's a
good.
good movie. It's a good movie. I just recently saw it for the first time a few weeks ago. But
Is it really a thing?
I think it might be on. If you have Stars, you can probably watch it on demand or on the app. So I think I watched it on Stars. And I think also it's just we have to be careful of always just looking towards the man of the moment to make the movies. It feels like only one black person can win at a time in Hollywood. So that's why it's important that Jordan Peele is producing as well as directing, because he can give other directors a shot, which he's doing with the Candyman remake or reimagining. I'm not sure if it's a sequel or remake
It's a
either.
sequel,
I think it's
He's
it's
gonna
like a
be in
sequel slash reimagining, because it's like talking about gentrification too, because the project where Candyman took place in the original is not there. So yeah, just giving other black directors, producers, actors, actresses a chance to shine, having more black people in creative as far as people who are greenlighting these films and TV shows, and just knowing that there's more than one avenue for horror now, because TV horror is doing really well now too. One of the best shows I've just seen was Haunting of Hill House. That's one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Did anybody watch the new Twilight Zone?
I have not yet.
I am not paying
Yeah,
for
but
CBS.
I've heard good things.
I am not
I
paying
saw
for
the
CBS
first
All
episode
Access.
and it was wild.
Twilight Zone freaks me out.
No,
CBS
Yeah,
can
I
kiss
would-
my
I
ass.
would-
I ain't giving them money when I got CBS for free.
Real.
I'll watch it when it hits DVD because no.
Right.
I'll watch
So,
it when it hits the TV airing.
Black Mirror has some very good episodes centered around black people
Oh,
too.
Black Mirror.
Speak on it. I love that stuff.
So dope.
Well, the first time you meet I've ever seen Daniel Kaluuya in a movie was on screen was a Black Mirror episode, which was a
Yeah.
weird as fuck episode, but he was great in it. And then you got Letitia Wright in an episode, one of the best episodes of Black Mirror with the Black Museum. You got, I cannot pronounce her name, but she was in the Cloverfield Paradox. She was in one of the best episodes of Black Mirror, the San Junipero episode, or Junipero. Yeah, which is more science fiction than straight up horror. Well, there's actually no horror to it at all, but it's still in that realm of genre that it was great. So like, there's a lot of episodes of Black Mirror where it centers around Black folks, and it's very authentic to the Black experience as well.
Okay.
Pretty much more writers need to be in the room.
We've been saying that for ages. Well, I need to get that on a shirt. More Black folks in the writers' room. I need to get that on.
Right. That's basically what it boils down.
I would say hire me, but I'm not into horror, so don't hire me.
That's why you can do it amazingly.
No. No.
That way
No, thank you.
to ensure that we escape as a culture.
Right. This is right about what scares the shit out of you.
No, I get scared by so many things. I don't like
That's what
vampires. I don't like dolls. I don't like bugs. I don't like mirrors.
Perfect.
That's what
It'll
works for
help
Stephen
you
King.
conquer your fears.
Yes, most definitely.
Partner
Thanks,
with
guys.
someone, and then you could leave at the parts that you don't like.
Excellent.
Almost,
There you go.
almost all the Stephen King stuff is from like nightmares he had.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I actually really like and respect Stephen King.
And he has like a new book coming out like every day. How the fuck does he write so much?
Between him
He
and
wrote a book about writing. I'm actually reading it right now.
that's fun.
Actually, yeah, he has a lot of really good advice about writing.
Between
I like
and
him a
James
lot.
Patterson, I see too many books of those two out. I think James
And his son is
Patterson
good
maybe
with-
writes a new book.
His son is really good too with horror.
What's the name of that show?
Oh,
Castle Rock.
Nosferatu? Oh, Castle Rock. I heard that show is really
I gotta
good.
watch that still.
That Castle Rock is pretty dope.
I hear this season is a cross between Misery and Salem's Lot.
Yes.
Misery was a good movie.
Misery was a good movie.
It was a very good movie.
Okay. So I feel as if we have achieved some good stuff this episode, y'all. Would y'all say that as well?
Indeed.
I agree. We got to talk about.
I concur.
We got to talk about some scurry shit.
Alright. So, it is officially past midnight, which means it is November 1st. You'll be catching this episode later in the day, but that means along with our special, with the special video we will be dropping later in the day, alongside of our new episode, we are going to give you a little bit of announcement here, folks. So, December 13th, mark it on your calendars, folks. We will be releasing the first episode of our winter/season 1 finale of Blerd Grounds. Now, what is this finale going to be? You may ask yourselves. Well, we have been working on a special project for you folks that is going to be beginning on December 13th. We have been working on recording it for you. We've been getting it ready. And Andre, since you were gracious enough to lend your voice to the intro, why don't you tell them what the title of our finale is going to be?
Drum roll, please. The Blerd Crusade.
Hey! Okay.
Dun 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 dun.
So, we've been working our butts off. We have been putting this into work. We had an amazing logo created for us. We have been busting our ass. Also, clap it up for the amazing Jasmine.
Oh, I can't clap for myself.
Dungeon Master, who has been working her ass off to make this happen for us and create this campaign for us. So, props to her as an amazing woman who has been putting that work in. We love you for what you do. So, I wanted to make sure you got your due for this because we love that you put this work forward.
Thanks. I like that you like it.
So, Like I have not had so much fun doing something in such a long time. Like we have already recorded some of this for you folks, and goddamn, it was a blast. So get ready for December 13th as we get ready to drop the first episode of the Blerd Crusade for you folks. If you've been listening to each of our episodes, you've heard a little teaser at the end of the last 2 episodes where we were teasing it. But no, Blerd Crusade drops December 13th. It'll be going on over the rest of December. There will be multiple episodes ranging for an hour to 2 hours. As we go through each session of the campaign, and starting. In January, we will have Blerd Grounds Season 2, but Season 1 will be ending with the Blerd Crusade. And hopefully, if you guys like it, we will continue it on as a yearly tradition, but this is the first step into getting that going. So, all of us are participating. Andre might help out occasionally with a few characters if he has time. We might even bring him on for Season 2 if we get a Season 2. So look out for that. And we will catch you guys next time on Blerd Grounds. Before we go, does anyone have any final thoughts, or does anyone have any final statements before we peace out?
I'm still not watching horror.
Oh,
nope.
Man.
You can't make me.
Not even Get Out?
No, I refuse.
What? Get Out's so good.
I love and respect Jordan Peele. I'm never gonna watch it. I refuse.
Fair enough.
I feel like we should ease you into it. Maybe watch The Vampire.
No,
the what?
No. We gotta start with Leprechaun 2: Back to the Hood.
Oh no!
Oh yeah!
A friend with weed is a friend indeed.
I purposely left that one out. I didn't want to talk about that.
Yo, Ice-T pulls out a baseball bat from his afro in that movie.
Oh my god!
I forgot about that. That movie was so bad.
Okay.
I've seen all of them. I've seen all the Leprechaun movies.
Yes. Okay. Does anyone have any other final thoughts before we go?
What?
For having me on, guys.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
We will definitely be having you on for more and more episodes, like our Season 2 premiere. Get hyped. We ain't telling you what it is yet, but get ready for it.
It's a thing. It's happening.
We got plans coming for that. But thank you, Andre, for hanging out with us and doing the research for this episode. Marcus, Aaron, Travis, do you have any final thoughts?
Watch the Antlers trailer and prepare to get fucking scared.
That looked... no, sir.
Trying to fix
Also,
my
read
fro.
the short story, The Lost Boy. I think that's what it's called. The short story, I think it's called The Lost Boy or The Quiet Boy. No, it's The Quiet Boy, yeah. Read the short story that the movie is based on. That short story will scare the shit out of you, too.
Aaron, do you and your fro have any final thoughts?
No.
I'm just trying to comb out the fro right now, and I'm gonna go do hood rat things with my friends.
Travis,
My aunt can help you with that throw. She's a beautician.
the doctor is gonna go be a hood rat. That sounds interesting.
That's right.
And get those T-shirts made.
Oh god, I have so many t-shirt ideas for us. It's not even funny. Travis, you got any final thoughts?
I didn't realize how many horror movies I'd have actually seen until I sat here and thought about it. I was gonna say I'm not into it, but that would be an honest lie.
Alright. I'm gonna go back to the safety of my Dead by Daylight and run away as a black person from the killers. So we will catch you folks next time right here on Blerd Grounds. Peace out.
On their Blerd Crusade.